This was the very oil you bought for my burial when you and Martha gave me up for dead? Was it the memory of that day you watched as I was laid in the tomb? Is that why you wept?
Oh, my beloved brother, you cannot possibly know the grief I felt when we thought we'd lost you. How could we have known he would call you forth, resuscitate you, restore us to our grieving arms? I wept bitter tears then as I weep them now, but not for you this time, for Jesus.
Mary, what are you saying? Foolish girl. Jesus is alive. He lives.
Do you not understand, my dear sister? Did you not hear the things he said? I sat at his feet and I listened to every word. Maybe others did not pay attention or brushed aside what they did not want to hear, but I heard it. I heard it.
She poured the precious oil upon his feet, spread it around with her hair. Mary, 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 tell us why you did what you did. Mary, Mary, why?
Why did you weep as though your heart were broke?
Mary, Mary, please, please.
I wept because I know the end is near. The signs are everywhere. The people clamor around him, calling him their king, while the authorities lie in wait, ready to set a snare. I only hoped that he would lay low, stay out of sight.
What you say is true, Mary. I do feel it too. The whole countryside is on edge, and everything Jesus does just increases the tension. I'm afraid his restoring me to life may turn out to be the final straw. There is no room for miracles here, especially those performed by him. To those who currently rule, his very presence is a threat. We must warn him. We must let him know.
Oh, he knows, Lazarus. He knows. I've seen it in his eyes. There is deep, deep pain there.
Regardless, we must try. We must try.
If only I too could have been there, wrapped the Master's feet.
Could have been there.
Could have sat at the Master's feet, heard him speak like Mary did.
So little time, so much to do. So little time, much to do. Poor Martha.
If only is my cry, if only a song of regret.
She weeps because the chance is gone.
She weeps because the chance is gone, the time has passed.
If only.
Oh, Martha, if only I had one with him, heard his words, touched his hands.
With the Passover feast coming up, crowds of people were making their way from the countryside up to Jerusalem to get ready. They were curious about Jesus. He was such an enigma. They wondered if he would show up for the feast, and if so, would they have a chance to see him in person, to hear him speak?
The next day, as a huge crowd arrived for the feast, the news rippled through the crowd that Jesus was not only on his way, but he was already near the city gates. Excitedly, they began to break off branches and ran out to meet him, cheering, "Hosanna!
Blessed is he!
Name of God.
Wow.
A voice from above. The Pharisees took one look and threw up their hands. It's out of control. The world is in a stampede after him.
Many of us heard what the Pharisees were planning. It was whispered throughout the crowd.
All of us who were followers of Jesus joined him that night for supper. And the men reclined, and Mary and I served the meal. We watched in disbelief as Jesus got up early from the meal, took off his robe, poured some water, and began to wash the feet of his disciples.
Knowing what lay ahead, having Jesus wash my feet was unbearable. We had been friends. He had trusted my judgment with our community funds in spending what little we had to provide for the poor while meeting our own needs. Now I'm about to betray him. No, I cannot bear to have him wash my feet.
Oh, you can imagine the stir that Jesus caused. Peter at first refused like Judas had done. The others quietly acquiesced, not knowing what to make of this astounding act of humility. Never before had anyone ever offered to do such a thing. Slaves did that. After Jesus had finished washing their feet, he put his robe back on and took his place back at the table.
And when he was back at the table and settled in his seat, he looked around at each of us. He said, "Do you understand what I have done? You address me as teacher and master, and rightly so, for that is what I am. So if I, the master and teacher, have washed your feet, you ought now to wash each other's feet. I've laid down the pattern for you. What I've done, you are also called to do."
So when we were about to take leave of each other, Jesus also said, "Tonight I'm giving you a new command. Love one another."
In the same way I have loved you, love one another.
Love one another.
This is how everyone will recognize that you are my disciples, when they see the love you have for each other. Reach in your bulletin to join us. Let us pray.
In the beautiful act of washing his disciples' feet, Jesus demonstrated his love in a very concrete and yet symbolic way.
This morning we'd like to invite you to experience that day. 2 stations have been set up, one with bread and wine and juice, and another with water for hand washing. So what we'd like to do is to invite you to come forward for communion, and then after taking communion, if you come back around the back aisles, you can have a hand washing with Mary and Lazarus and Martha and Judas.
And then come back to your seats.
So, will you pray with me, please? Beloved God, we give thanks for life itself, for night and for day, for land and for sea, for sun and for stars. We give thanks for those gathered here and for those who gather in peace. We pray that the whole world one day will gather in peace. We give thanks for the basic elements of life that Jesus took and immortalized as offering of ourselves to you and to each other in service and in love. We lift up now, dear Lord, just some of the prayers that were gathered from the congregation this morning of thanks and concern.